This is Costarchem webinar, waterproofing of piles and pile caps. So Costarchem, as we know, is a Costarchem Nigeria is a subsidiary of Costarchem International, and we are manufacturers of building and construction chemicals. Um, we have concrete admixtures, waterproofing membrane, repair and bonding agents, tile solutions, flooring solutions, expansion joint sealants, among the rest. So basically, we are manufacturers. Also, we offer technical support and also do applications of these products. Now, for this webinar, we'll be discussing on waterproofing of our piles and pile cap. My name is Chidima Jennifer Okonkwo, and I am the technical sales consultant of the company. Now, our table of contents. So under this webinar, we will be discussing on foundation as the bedrock of your structure. We're discussing on the pile cap foundation and pile cap, the reasons for waterproofing of your piles and its caps. Then we have to understand the waterproofing technologies. Then we'll give the our recommendations, and then the floor will be open for questions. Now, when we say foundation, the bedrock of structure, one thing we must understand is foundation is an essential part of a structure. It's an integral part. It is not something that should be treated separately. So when we say foundation, we should understand what foundation means. It's a lower portion of the building structure that transfer its gravity loads to the earth. So it is transferring the load of the building to the earth. Now, the foundation supports and anchors the superstructure of the building. Then we have classification of foundations. Under foundation, we have two classification. There is the shallow foundation, there is the deep foundation. Under the shallow foundation, we have it highlighted here: isolated, spray, wall footing, combined footing, raft foundation. Then under the deep foundation, we have the pile foundation, the pier and the casing foundation. Now, when it comes to the difference between the two basically is for the shallow foundation is a type of foundation that is less than the width of the footing, and it's less than 10 feet. So it's this type of foundation you can use for area where you have a very strong soil system that is strong enough to support the imposed load of your structure. And then for the deep foundation, we have it being higher than the width of the footing and above 10 feet. So this type of foundation is most appropriate for areas where you have a loose soil. The type of the soil is loose, or the soil is not strong enough to take in the load of the structure, the climate conditions, and the scale of your infrastructure. If your structure is a very massive one, then it's something we should be looking at too. So under this, we have images of the different types of foundations highlighted. We have for the shallow, and also we have for the pile foundations. Now, we are focusing on pile foundation and pile cap. Now, what is a pile foundation? As I already explained, it's a type of a deep foundation. But now this comprise of series of columns constructed or inserted into the ground to transmit loads of the building to a lower level of subsoil. Now the column are spaced apart from each other so that the loads are distributed evenly. So now also we have the pie cap. So this is a construction that is done directly on your piles that aids the distribution of the building load evenly on the piles. So it's just like you have your raft foundation, it acts as your raft foundation. So now, classification of piles. When it comes to pile foundation, piles are classified into different categories depending on the function, the composition of the material. Now, based on function or use, we have the sheet pile, we have load bearing piles, we have end bearing piles, friction piles, and soil compactor piles. We can see images just beside it, and then under the base, or based on material use, we have concrete, timber, steel pile, composite pile. So we also have image of the type of pile based on the kind of material used. So there is the concrete, there's the steel pile, there's the timber, there's steel H, which is still steel, but it comes in a different shape. Then you have the precast concrete. You understand what the precast is? It's like a casted concrete then being inserted into the floor to act as a pile. Then we have the composite material, which comprises of more than one. So you have, yeah, you have concrete and steel. So now, reasons for waterproofing of pile foundation and its caps. Now, when we say waterproofing, waterproofing is a process of making your object or structure watertight, water resistant, to remain relatively unaffected by water. Now, some of the reasons why it is very important to waterproof the pile foundation is this. One, you have to make it watertight. We understand that concrete is porous in nature. It's just like this point we have over here, the image. It is porous and there's tendency of it absorbing water. So we have to waterproof it to subdue the porosity nature of the concrete and also to prevent absorption of moisture, which can lead to increase in weight. So when your pile absorb so much moisture, apparently the weight of the pile increases, and this can lead to sinking of your pile and can affect your structure at the end of the day. So also, to reduce the rate of hydration rate, we understand that concrete needs its water instant to continually react with the cement. So waterproofing it, making it watertight, will prevent the rate of hydration, especially for a very hot weather condition. So it also provides a more stable foundation. Now, one thing we must understand is we don't, like, we almost not have control over what happens below grade. So it's just like you have this image of this boat. Now, if it's anything above grade, you can see the leakage, you can easily treat it, you can easily recommend, the recommendation can easily be given. But once there's a defect below grade structure, it's like almost impossible for you to treat it. That's why it is very important and highly recommended that we get it from the start. Then also other reasons for, so this is for the pile caps. Now, as I highlighted is for the piles. Now for the pile caps, you have to prevent water ingress or intrusion into your structure. So when you don't waterproof your pile caps, there's a direct connection with your structure, which can lead to dampness or mold growth and all that. Prevention of prevention of corroded reinforcements, corrosions occurring in your reinforcement. So you need to make your concrete watertight to prevent your reinforcements being affected. So you also protect the structural components of your concrete, prevent degradation of your structure. If your concrete or your structure is not waterproof, over time it will start degrading. It is normal, it will start degrading because you have water is a big issue. Now when you do your concrete, you're going to do your plastering, you're going to do your painting, it's going to affect all this thing. It will affect your plastering, will affect your reinforcement, will affect your painting. At the end of the day, it will cause your structure to start degrading. Then it can even cause you a lot of hectic moments, a lot of stress, because you have to go from one place to another, start seeking solutions. And the truth be told, if you don't get construction from site, you don't do what is required to be done, at the end of the day, you would be left with maintenance and repairing, which comes at a very higher cost, because in most cases you might not be able to get a permanent solution to the issues. which is why it is very important because it will eventually save costs. Now, under waterproofing, when I've highlighted the powers importance of waterproofing our powers, but then it is important we understand the right ideal waterproofing products to use for this system. Now, under waterproofing, we have two classifications. There is the admixtures and there is the membrane. Under the membrane, we have the bituminous based membrane, cementitious based membrane, polyurethane based membrane, and acrylic based membrane. Then under the admixtures, here we have the hydrophilic admixtures and the hydrophobic waterproofing admixtures. Basically, for the crystalline waterproofing admixture, which is the hydrophilic admixture, this is a blend of Portland cement, silica, and special chemicals which react with the water in the concrete to form insoluble, long, narrow crystals. So what it does is how the crystalline um, chemical work is this: it reacts with the water and form crystals, multiple crystals, needle-like crystals to fill in the pores of your concrete, which makes it watertight and also prevents water from entering your concrete and also helps to heal cracks, airline, or capillaries. And also we have under the waterproofing admixture, we have the hydrophobic waterproofing admixture, which is a water repellent. So this with this admixture, there's a reaction in your concrete. So there's a reaction which aids the formation of a layer along the pores in the concrete. So there's a layer along the pores of the concrete which blocks water from entering it. So at the end of the day, you have a glass-like concrete. So we can have on the top we have image of what an hydrophobic concrete looks like and a crystalline reaction looks like. Now, so now we've highlighted the waterproofing types we have. Now, we are going to be focusing on the materials we have available for this system. Now, we have for the waterproofing admixtures, under this we have the Crystal 2600. So the Crystal 2600 is a fourth generation crystalline waterproofing admixtures. So now when we say fourth generation crystalline waterproofing admixture, what it means is it has a property of both the hydrophilic and hydrophobic nature. So it's unlike the third generation. So this provides for you the hydrophilic and hydrophobic properties. It permanently waterproof the concrete. It becomes an integral part of the concrete, of course, protects against chemical attack and corrosion of reinforcing steel. Self-seal penetrating cracks up to 0.4 mm, self-seal air cracks up to 0.5 mm. Now, we must understand that the difference between the concrete admixtures and the concrete membrane, the waterproofing admixtures and the waterproofing membrane is that the waterproofing admixture is an integral part of your concrete. That is what you mix with your concrete while batching. So it becomes an integral part, just like you have your granite. So it becomes an integral part. While the membrane comes as a coat, as a thing, as a layer on on your structure on the surface to waterproof it. So also we have Crystal 2000, which is a first generation crystalline waterproofing admixture. So part of what it does is it protects against negative and positive waterproofing pressure, becomes an integral part of the concrete. It is ideal for use in both the above and below grade, provide to us a watertight concrete. That's what the Crystal 2000 says. So Crystal 2000 can come as an alternative. Crystal 2000 comes in liquid while the Crystal 2006 comes in powder form. So basically we should understand the difference between the two. The major difference between the two admixture is the Crystal 2006 is the fourth generation that says it is hydrophobic and hydrophilic in nature, while the Crystal 2000 is a third generation crystalline waterproofing admixture, which makes it just an hydrophilic waterproofing admixture. So under the hydrophobic waterproofing admixtures, we have two categories. We have hydroproof WP300 and hydroproof 100, which is basically 100 is a powder type, while 200 is the liquid type. So also we see the benefits or the features highlighted here. It's specially formulated water repellent admixtures. That's for the 100. You can use it for your concrete, your plasters, and your screed. So it reduces water permeability. It's also an integral part of your concrete. So it's increased resistance to wet rain, free, thaw, and circle. So now, basically, the major difference between the hydrophilic and hydrophobic waterproofing admixture is this. The hydrophilic is crystalline in nature. It's a permeability reducing waterproofing admixtures for areas of high hydrostatic pressure, while the hydrophobic is a permeability reducing waterproofing admixtures for areas of low hydrostatic pressures. So basically, the crystalline reacts with the liquid. When it comes in contact with water, it reacts and brings out multiple crystals, a needle-like crystals to fill in the pores. So the crystalline series is more or less the living technology type, like the Crystal 2006. It's also called a living technology because it there's a continuous reaction going on. So long you have it there, it's stay continue to react once there's contact with water. While the hydrophobic is there's a reaction from the beginning. So from the beginning, when it is added, there's a reaction with your concrete which makes it glass-like. So it reacts and form a layer and filling, and that's it is it. It makes your concrete glass-like. So under the waterproofing membrane, we also have the polyurethane base, which is usually for areas exposed surfaces with with UV rays. We have the cementitious membrane as Costa 2K. We have the bituminous as Conceal 300. We have the acrylic as Conceal 100. So we can see the features highlighted in the pictures here, the features of all. Now recommendations. Now for waterproofing of your power foundation, best recommendation is you use a Crystal 2600 for batching. But as an alternative, you can use the Hydroproof WP300. Then for your power caps, the best recommendation is you use the Crystal 2006 for batching. As an alternative, you can use the Crystal 2000. And also know that you use the membrane, use a bituminous membrane, Conceal 300 as a layer over your structure. Now I understand that people would try to put cost into consideration, like because we know we always most construction works with budget and all that. But one thing we must have in mind is it is very important. It is very, very important we have a good structure. But at the end of the day, when it comes to concrete, aside from waterproofing your concrete, the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a concrete is to have a durable concrete. Now, waterproofing your concrete is one of the ways, a major way of having a durable concrete. But aside from that, from the onset, you need to have a good grade concrete. You need to have a workable concrete so that at the end of the day, you have a durable concrete. Now, concrete admixture, according to the ASTM C494 classification, there are class type A to G of the concrete admixture. So the types are highlighted here. You have type A, water reducer, type B, retarders, type C, accelerators, type D, which is combination of type A and B. Then we have type E, which is the composition of the type A and C. And then we have the type F, which is an high range water reducer. Then we have the type G, high range water reducers and retarders. Also, we have type S, special kinds of admixtures. So basically, when it comes to concrete admixtures, using concrete admixture, these are the benefits and reasons why we should use concrete admixture. Because in construction of your house, most importantly, there is little control of what happens in there. So it is very important that we get the concreting right. Now, one of the benefits why it is highly recommended that we use a concrete admixture is one, to improve the workability, air entraining and pumping properties of your concrete. Now you have a concrete which is going to travel a certain distance, a long distance. So you need your concrete to be very workable so that you don't have you don't have honeycombs or defects or not having a properly compacted concrete. So that's one. Then it provides excellent strength at early age and major increase in strength at all age by significantly reducing water demand in the concrete mix. Yes, when you use your concrete admixtures, now you should understand that automatically you're going to have a better strength or increase in your strength. What do I mean? Normally, we know that to achieve a good strength, we reduce water. So it's more like reduction in water, height increments in strength of your concrete. But at the end of the day, we need the water to make our concrete workable. And that's why with the help of the concrete admixtures, you can actually reduce your water to the barest minimum, and then you can compensate with the addition of concrete admixture, which will aid increment, excellent increase in your strength. Now, it enables easier placing and compaction of your concrete. Now, when you have a very workable concrete, then you're sure that it is easier to place and compaction, like you have a self-compacting concrete. Because most of the time you see people um, vibrating their concrete, which at the end of the day can lead to segregation if not properly done. So to avoid this, you can get a good compacting concrete. With a good concrete with a good workability or high slump, you don't necessarily need to vibrate because it becomes self-compacting at the end of the day. Now, provides high slump and retention time. So if you need to batch at a certain location and you need to pour or cast at another location, then the concrete admixture is also helps to retain the certain time of your concrete. Then also it minimize risks of segregation and bleeding. Yes, bleeding can occur when you have so much water in your concrete, which eventually you can avoid when you use the concrete admixtures. Also, it save cost ultimately. Yes, because I've been to a site where someone wants to do a C30 grade of concrete and is using 9 bags, 10 bags, and the feedback he gave me was, oh, I have issues with achieving the strength, the grade of concrete I want to. So this is one thing you can avoid with admixtures. You can be able to reduce your water, and at the end of the day, with 8 bags or even less, can achieve or even supersede your expected strength. So at the end of the day, it is very important. Aside from for workability, we need a durable concrete, which can be gotten by using appropriate using appropriate concrete admixture and the ideal waterproofing admixtures for your concreting. So now I have taken out time to explain to us the concrete admixture so that we understand the importance of using a concrete admixture, because some of us might have it challenging to use the waterproofing admixtures because of we are considering cost and all that. But even if we are going to be able to use the waterproofing admixture, it is very, very important that we use the concrete admixtures for the piles. But for the pile caps, it is highly recommended that both the concrete admixtures and the waterproofing admixtures are used. So that will be all. Thank you for joining us at this webinar. So now we'll open the floor for questions and that. Then also we'll share with you the video we have. So takeouts we should the takeout from this webinar is it is very important to get it from the start. As the saying goes, what is worth doing is worth doing well. So if you're going to do your foundation, do it right so that you would avoid yourself unnecessary stress because you can go a long way to prevent a lot of things once you get it right. Just like a stitch in time saves nine. So it's very ideal we waterproof our pile and pile caps. Then also, most importantly, use the concrete admixture to get a very good workable concrete, which at the end of the day provides us with a very good structure. Thank you all for participating.